The White Rose Society is an idea whose time has come. We have no formal hierarchy. Each chapter is self-initiated and autonomous. However, the words and deeds of those working in the name of the chapter must remain consistent with the goals and purposes of the White Rose Society. Thus, we must make these principles clear. These should never be thought of as a list of commands, but rather ideas to help you form a snapshot of the single ethic that guides all of our actions. First, many of you understand that the White Rose Society is a self-initiated organization that is ruled by none. But what you might not understand is that the White Rose Society is a name that cannot be claimed by all. And yet, since we are decentralized, any may claim our name, provided they abide by the one ethic that we fight for. Human traffickers, pedophiles, murderers, cults, and regimes throughout the world could never march under the banner of the White Rose while committing acts of injustice and oppression. We are united based on one single principle of justice, freedom for all to do as they please, as long as no others are harmed in the process. In short, your rights end where another's rights begin. One cannot fight for freedom and support those who seek to impose a brutal government on others. We have united as Muslims, Christians, Jews, and people with no religion and every religion to fight against injustice wherever we find it. We make no distinction between injustices and oppressions. We do not choose one injustice to support while we oppose another at the same time. Again, this is because we fight for the one single ethic that guides all of our actions. Because there is no official White Rose Central Committee to determine what is said or done in our name, some who do not have any right to claim our name may tell the world that they are acting on our behalf. If you are ever in doubt and ask, is this really the White Rose Society? You need only ask yourself, does the action abide by the single ethic that the White Rose Society follows? This is the ethic of freedom for all to do as they please as long as no others are harmed, an ethic of justice for all, and resistance to oppression wherever it manifests. If so, then you can be sure that it is a true White Rose Society action. If not, it might even be an operation created by our enemies, those who have chosen oppression over freedom and injustice over justice. Second, we are not a right or left movement. We are people from across the political spectrum. We do not exclude people from the White Rose Revolt because they like one presidential candidate or another, so long as they do not promote the fascist police state proposed by Donald Trump. With the exception of our united opposition to this would-be dictator, we do not oppose or promote one party or candidate over the other. These are individual preferences and decisions that must be made by each of us. This is simply beyond the scope of our aims. As an organization, we have united to oppose the unprecedented threat of fascism at the doorsteps of the White House. Third, we do not initiate violence in any circumstance. We do not pick fights. But we also do not allow violence to be perpetrated against the innocent. True peacefulness is nonviolent with those who are nonviolent. We avoid violence. If, however, we see anyone being abused, we will step in and stop that abuse. That is not nonviolence. In fact, it is allowing violence to continue. It is pro-violence. Instead, true nonviolence, true peacefulness is stopping violence with the minimal amount of force necessary. If you see someone being attacked, you stop them, but you do not escalate force beyond what is necessary, at any time. The Dalai Lama speaks about the morality of self-defense. He emphasizes that nonviolence means violence can be justified only if it is used to stop a violent act. Thus, if someone is attacking you or another, there is a moral obligation to stop them. Do not, however, escalate force beyond what is initiated. True nonviolence means decreasing the amount of violence in the world. If inaction allows violence to continue, then inaction is no longer nonviolent, it is, instead, an act of complicity and acceptance of violence. We are not bullies, but we will not be bullied. Finally, we must act. The White Rose Revolt is a movement, and that means we must be on the move. While we coordinate on the internet, our actions are carried out in the streets and rallies. White Rose chapters are active. They print flyers and circulate them at protests, rallies, and shows. They place them on light posts and bulletin boards. They make stickers, apparel, individual chapter websites, and social media pages. They hand out white roses at rallies and wear them to represent our numbers. No White Rose Society chapter needs approval from any overarching power. Instead, we encourage you all to come together with friends, family, and new faces of like mind to join or form a chapter in your area. Contact us for more information on how to get started. This is a fight that can be delayed no longer.